Hi guys, this is Joshua Peterson Electric. I'm out here today in Highlands Ranch on a service call. A customer called me and said their utility bill was running too high. They said they were getting shocked on their gutter and an outlet in the upstairs was having an issue. When I took this call over the phone, I'd have to say I prejudged it a little bit. But here's what we're finding. We're not quite there yet. I'll do a second part to this video. This is probably one of the neatest service calls I've ever been on in 17 years, but this is exactly why I believe that people have been found in their backyard dead. What we have found is this was hot, and when I got here I took an EFM tester, electrical magnetic field, and he said it was lit. So I wanted to make sure he was right because I carry 3 of them. So either brand was picking it up. So the next thing I did was I took my shoe off, only one shoe, put my bare foot right here, I licked my arm, stuck it on the gutter, and I got hit. So right now, this potential of this gutter is reading 124 volts. So much that I wanted to make sure if I was reading it right. I did a 60-watt light bulb and you won't be able to see it, so I stepped it down to 40 watts and it was a light glow but not much. But the minute I took this and I drove a rebar, I've got to find a dirty part on the ground.
There you go, it's lit now.
So there you go. We have what you call a wild leg. She's absolutely doing what she wants. I went in the panel and it was a GE Slim. I put in a new GE Slim. Breaker didn't sense it. I dug out the ground in neutral. It still lit up. Then I put an arc fault GE in the panel, nothing. Put an arc fault Siemens, nothing. Put a GE GFCI breaker, nothing. It would not detect it. This is almost as if it's a perfect T welded, coming down, hitting the flashing, going on the gutter, and coming to here. So I leaned this aluminum ladder, and I leaned it against there, and I'm getting about 70 volts at the bottom of the ladder. Closer to the top without all these connections, I'm getting 120 volts on this ladder. Thank God it's got rubber boots on the bottom, otherwise we'd be grounded. So when the code book talks about in Article 680.26 about equal potential grounding, that's real important. People go out and put pavers out here, run out some electrical, slap a hot tub, forget calling an electrician. He costs too much. The next thing you know, they don't dig it deep enough and they run 240 volt out there and they don't stick it in a PVC conduit nor 2 foot deep or encase it in cement, and then they go and have someone aerate their lawn for 30 bucks and they start nicking those wires. The breaker on an arc fault on a GE as well as a Siemens as well as an E10, nothing is detecting it at the panel. And this home's only 26 years old. I've got all grounds, I've got copper, no aluminum, and I've got GE, which I don't really care for that brand. But I've Siemens, even though it fits the bus bar, I still put it in to test it. So what we're going to do now, we're going to go upstairs and we're going to put a GFCI break or outlet in the outlets that we're thinking it is. And at that point, what we're also going to try to do is disconnect upstairs the wires coming around the room, because I think I might know where it's at. It's coming through that a screw could be penetrating it. But keep in mind that it's a 14.2 Romex. I pulled open the outlet. Typically it's the ground, hot, and neutral. If you flip it, neutral, ground, hot. It doesn't matter. If a screw goes between the ground and the hot, it's going to fault out at the ground and you could take the ground wire off at the panel and you're fine. If the screw hits between the ground and neutral, you could be in trouble. But an arc fault breaker is still not detecting it. Personally, what I think is happening is the screw is hitting the edge of the insulation of the hot, grounding the flashing, and the flashing is nailed and the gutter is nailed and they're crisscrossing and it's coming down here. But that potential at 124 volt, as soon as I drove a ground rod here, which is it's really just a piece of rebar, and I'm only about 6 inches deep, let alone 8 foot deep. That's pretty bad when that can light up a light bulb. Again, I'll show you that. Got that guy about 12 inches. Go ahead and clean that off a little. Look at that. That's really dangerous, guys. That's the point of breakers. That's the point of having good electricians out there in the field. But I've been doing this 17 years, and I'm lighting up a light bulb through the soil. So if they had a dog running around here, it could have nailed that dog and killed him, especially with paws. I had my boot off, and I put my bare foot, and I literally got bumped back. And the other thing that's pretty scary is if this gutter wasn't painted, or worse, it was sitting here in the soil and rusted underneath, you definitely would have walked by and felt it. Now, how far it would bleed off, you'd have to take wires and keep driving ground rods to find where that potential voltage started to fade. But I even took a little nail and drove it down. It wasn't enough to light a light bulb, but as soon as I went 12 inches down, it was definitely enough to light that. And this is an old rusty part of rebar. So anyways, guys, I'll join you in part 2.